book, so I liked it. And the 4th book comes around mid. I'm planning to read the last book in this series. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Dajah Nicole. So in today's video, I will be showing y'all all the books that I've read and all my ratings of the books that I read to get out of a reading slump. So I have been in a reading slump since, I would say, February. And I
probably picked up my reading, my favorite hobby of all the hobbies that I do, probably mid-March.
So, if you have noticed, I haven't really been posting on YouTube or any of my social medias, and that's going to change because like I deleted everything on my TikTok, my personal TikTok, because I want to do something more lifestyle. I made a book talk, I made an author page, and just have everything in its own. But this is going to be consistent. I'm going to post every Friday and every Sunday. So, just letting you know. So today is Thursday, June 5th. And I'm doing this the day before I'm posting, but that is okay. So in today's video, I'll be showing you all the books that I read when I wanted to get out a reading slump. I was in a huge reading slump, but some of these books that I read because I got for myself, I seen it on TikTok, really helped me get out of a reading slump. So I've been in a reading slump since February to like mid-March, and the reason why is because I
worked a toxic job, which was very draining, very stressful, very nerve-wracking, and toxic. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it was. And I worked late sometimes, and even when I came home early, I just didn't feel like reading. I just wanted to sleep, and I recently quit that job back in May.
So I have time to read, and before the month of June came along, I finished some of the books, and I'm going to show you all the books that I read, when I read them, when I start reading the books, when I finish the books, and the rating, and a brief summary. I just hope that you like this video, besties, because I do see this video popular sometimes. I wouldn't say popular, but I have seen this video do well on other people's YouTube page. So I hopefully you do like this video. But if you have read any of these books, please let me know down in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's just get into today's video, besties. I have read about 10 books to get out of a reading slump. This is about 8 because, no, this is about 7. I read one that is a physical book, but it wasn't mine, so I finished it and had to give it back to the person, an old co-worker of mine. And then I read 2 on my Kindle. Technically, no, 2 or 3 on my Kindle. But when I go through my physical TBR on the books that I read and their ratings, and yeah, so one of the books that I read to get out of a reading slump was The Boyfriend by Freida McFadden. So I have heard a lot about this author, and I think I gave this book a 4-star rating, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I don't know, like give you like a false star rating, but yes, I did. So I gave this a 4-star rating on this book. So I liked it. I feel like I wasn't hooked as much when I first started reading it, but when I finished the book, I was so much hooked. I want to read another Freida McFadden book. Like I said, I've heard that her books are very, very good. How she writes her books has that hook that catch readers' attention. But I gave this book a 4-star rating, and I really like it. So if you have any other book recommendations by Freida McFadden, please let me know. But this is one of the books that I read, in my ways of getting out of a reading slump. And to be honest, I actually started this book last year, but because I never finished it, like I was just in the beginning of the book, like I never finished it at all, and I finished it this year. I started the book on November 14th of 2024, but I never really like read it. I only read like the first page and put it down, and I was like, I'm gonna finish the other books first in my November TBR, and then I will pick this up. But then I picked it back up on February 25th of this year and finished it on April 29th of this year. So yeah, it took me a while to actually really get into this book, but I think the reason why it took me about 2 months to finish this book was because I was in a reading slump. And to be honest, this book actually helps me get out of a reading slump out of all the other books, just because it did take me about 2 months to finish it, but it really actually helps me get out the reading slump that I was. So yeah, so the next book that I read that was something that I really wanted to read and which helped me to get out of a reading slump was Wildfire. I will be talking about the third book in this series too, and I'm so happy that I finished those 3 books before the 4th book comes out, which is coming out in September, so I cannot wait when the book comes out because I'm getting that book. But I started this book on February 25th and I finished it on April 29th. So it took me a while to I wouldn't say get into the book, it just really took me a while to actually find the enjoyment of reading. So if you're in a reading slump, you won't have the enjoyment of reading any type of books, even though you want to read that book and you always told yourself, oh, I love this author and this and that. But if you're in that reading rut, that reading slump, you will not get into the book as fast as you want. And Elsie is actually one of my favorite authors. Since I started the first book in this series, she became one of my favorite authors, and I really loved all 3 of the books in this series. And yeah, and I rated this book a 4 stars as well. So it's basically about this rugged mountain town that seems like a perfect escape for anyone, but one day she fell in love with this single dad and her plans are ruined. It's just a single dad trope, and to be honest, I never thought I would love a single dad trope until I read this book, and I think the first one was also a single dad trope, but it's been a while since I read that one. But yeah, I gave this book a 4-star rating, and it took me a while to finish it just because my mental health was not the best. So I read this book on February 25th and I finished it in the 2nd day of June. Not June, it is June. The 2nd day of March. So this is P.S. I Hate You by Laura Nowlin. So this is what it looks like. This literally probably took me a week to read just because I actually enjoyed this book, and I gave it a 4-star rating, but I really enjoyed this book. And I think around that time when I was still working, I really wanted to finish a book. So this was like a quick read for me, even though it is like 350 something pages, but it was like I needed something to escape, so I just grabbed it and read it like every single day before work, after work, staying up sometimes, and on my days off, just reading as much as I can. This book is about how these 2 people on the cover are ex-lovers. Oh, my eye itches. But these 2 people on the cover are ex-lovers, and her brother has this scavenger hunt basically around like 8 different places in 8 different states that he always wanted to go to, but he couldn't because he died of cancer, and they're going to spread his ashes in those 8 different destinations. So that's why, and they have to do it because it's her brother, but it was his friend. So yeah, and I really love this book. It's a quick read. I feel like it's a very, very quick read in my opinion. And if they ever put this book in a movie adaptation, they should. If they ever put this book in a movie adaptation, they should. They really should. And put it on Netflix. Put it on Netflix or Hulu or something, because I would actually watch this movie. There was actually a book adaptation of a movie. Well, some movie adaptation of a book, which is The Hating Game, which is on Netflix, and I'm gonna actually watch it tonight because I kind of liked The Hating Game, because I put it like a 3 point something stars, but then I kind of changed my rating to 4 stars, and it was like one of the best things ever. So I feel like they should put this book as a movie adaptation in my opinion. The next book that I read to get out of my reading slump was Twisted Games by Huang. I rate this book a 4-star rating, and I started this book on May 5th to May 8th. So I feel like around the end of April to May, I really got the liking of reading again. So that's kind of why some of my dates are just like a couple days apart or a week apart. So just letting you know. But I rate this book 5 stars. I have heard a lot of things about this author, and to be honest, I love both of the first books of the Twisted series. Next series that I'm reading from hers is the King of Sin series, which I'm reading in my June TBR, and I'm reading the 3rd book in this month as well, which is Twisted Hate. But I really love this book. I also feel like this one is a quick read as well. Actually, just looking with her other books in the Twisted series, this is the smallest book of the 4 books that it comes with. It's a 4-book series if you haven't read any of her books, but I really love this book and I gave it a 5-star rating. I can't wait to finish this series, which I don't know, maybe July or August I will finish the series. I like to finish series soon, but that's just me on how many books I read or if I start a new series. So I don't know what that would do. I also want to do a video of me finishing series, so I don't know. But I gave this book a 5-star rating. Actually, I could not put this book down. To be honest, I couldn't put this book down because it was like, do I want to know what happened next? And my inner thought said yes. Yes, you do, Dajah. So, if you haven't read this series or just this book, please do. And if you have read this book or read this series, tell me what's your favorite part of this book, or tell me what is your favorite book of this series. So, yeah. So, the next book that I read to get over a reading slump is Wildfire. So this is the 3rd book of the Rose Hill series. Like I said, she's one of my favorite authors. Huang is one of my favorite authors. And Sophie Lark is one of my favorite authors that have series. So, yes. So hold on, I don't know what I rate this book. So I'm looking. Okay, so I rate this book a 3-star rating. No. Pause. A 4-star rating. I rate this book a 4-star rating. I am actually happy that I finished this book when I heard the news that the 4th book is coming this fall, then putting it aside for like August. But no, I finished this book. I read it starting May 16th, and I finished on the 25th, so almost about 10 days. But I read this book, and I know once I got in the middle of the book, I could not put it down because it just got so freaking good. So like I would play like any type of like lo-fi music or music in general, or even a YouTube video just playing in the background, and I was reading this book. Like I didn't even, like I just couldn't, or I would like hold my pee for that long to finish the chapter. That's how hooked I was into this book. But yes, if you haven't read the Rose Hill series, you should. I think you should read all 3 books because I have rated all 3 books above 3 stars. And the 4th book comes around mid-September. So if you haven't, I want you to. I actually need to pre-order that now. But I want the special edition one. I don't know. But if you haven't, you should. I feel like you should. That's my opinion. It's up to you. But yeah, so this is the next book that I have read to get out of a reading slump. Now I do have iffy opinions on dark romance, smut, and all of that. But baby, Scarred, I should have read this in the nail salon when I was getting my toes done, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But anyways, I started this book in, actually I was supposed to read this book back in February 25th because it was supposed to be part of my February TBR or March TBR. It was between those 2 TBRs, but I didn't. And I finished this book. I think I started this book the end of April, to be honest, and finished it the 14th of May. And like I said, I could not put this down. I have heard through TikTok, through Book Talk, that out of this whole Never After series, a lot of people like this book, Scarred. So it is based on Lion King, Scar, and I could not put this book down. And I was getting my toes done when I was reading this, like finishing this book, and I remember just reading like one line and then putting it on my Instagram story, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can picture it in my head. Like I can picture some of these scenes or just how they were talking to each other and everything in my head. But I was like, oh my gosh, like okay, but like this is, and I'm not like, I like smut, I like dark romance. I'm more of a contemporary romance, more of a softer type romance. But then also one of my favorite books is Brutal Prince, which is a spicy romance with spicy scenes as pictures in the book if you get the physical copy. So I'm just a romance type of girl, to be honest. But I rated this book a 5 stars for a reason, and I don't really regret that reasoning at all, because it's a good darn book. Like, I really like it. And if you haven't started the Never After series, I want you to, because the first book is actually not that bad either. But I feel like this one is better than the first book, in my opinion, just because I was like, what did they just do? What did he just say? Oh my gosh. So yeah. So the second to last book that I've read actually to get out of a reading slump was Wildfire by Hannah Grace. So it's about two people who's helping at a campsite. They are like the staff of it, and I gave this book a 3-star rating, but I also gave the first book in this series of the Maple Hill series a 3-star too. That's just me. I gave it a 3-star. Like, I liked it, but I didn't like how it ended because it didn't like I just didn't like it. So I started this book on the 25th of May and I ended it on the 30th of May. So it was about 5 days, a week. But like, I just couldn't really get into it as much as I wanted to. I am planning to read the last book in this series. Hopefully it would be higher than both of the books that I read, because like I said, I rated Icebreaker as a 3-star rating, but I rate this also a 3-star rating. And the reason why I rated a 3-star rating is because of the spice, not gonna lie. I think that's what really got me interested in the book, is the spice and the bantering between both of the characters. But I just really couldn't get into the book to the point I wanted to actually almost DNF this book. But to be honest, it did help me get on my reading slump to the point I have to ask myself, should I DNF this book? You know? So yeah, but Wildfire is one of the books that I read. Now, the last book that I read to get on my reading slump on my physical TBR is Reckless by Laura Nowlin. So I gave this book a 4-star rating, and I started this book on May 14th and I finished on May 16th. It took me 2 days to finish this book. That's how good and how hooked I was into this book. And to be honest, I love romanticy in a way that I do. I love Powerless, and I got Fearless when it came out. I actually pre-ordered Fearless, and I think I want to, no, I don't think, I am going to get the novella, which is titled Powerful. But I could not put this book down. It was really good. It got me hooked. I loved it. I hear mixed feelings of this whole trilogy. And to be honest, a lot of people say they like Powerless and Fearless better than Reckless because how short the book is between those 3 books and the trilogy. But in my opinion, this book hooked me more than Powerless. And I think I gave Powerless like a 4-star rating too, but I don't know when I read that book. I knew it was like last year. So yes, I also rated Powerless a 4-star rating too. But I just really love Laura Nowlin's writing, and I follow her on TikTok. So I just love how she writes her books. So I don't know when I'll be reading Fearless. It won't be in June. It probably will be in July, but that's just putting that out there because there's series that I want to start, like the Billionaire series by Lauren Asher, or is it like, yeah, I think that's the series name, but y'all can like correct me in the comments. And some standalone books that I want to start as well. So you just have to watch my June TBR for those books and to know what are those books as well. But yeah, now the books that I read on my Kindle to help me get out of a reading slump. So I'm just gonna put the pictures here and let you know. So actually, this book was not on my Kindle. I actually borrowed it from my old coworker. So it is called Desperate Measures by Wicked Villains, and I gave that book a 4-star rating. I love the book. It was also by Kate Robert. But I love the book. I started that book on the 2nd of May and I finished it on the 5th of May because it is a quick read and it's very short. I love the book. I feel like the smut is too much in my opinion, but it's not way too much to the point I almost DNF'd the book. It was to the point that I'm just like I feel like there should be more connection between the characters before you jump into the smut, and there really wasn't that. It really like actually jumped into the smut part, the spicy part in the book, and then knowing why is Jasmine with Jafar. So yeah, the next book that I read was Capture the Moment by Ziye Taylor. I read the book back in February 5th of this year, and then I finished it on the 10th of April. I rate this book a 5-star rating. I actually follow this person. She's also an upcoming author, and I love the book so much. It was like for me to get out of rut. I was like, okay, I need to finish this book, and I loved how it helped me actually get out that reading rut. And Capture the Moment by Ziye Taylor helped me get out that reading rut that I was in. And to be honest, I like when a book can really catch my attention, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting the enjoyment of reading again, just reading that book, and that's when I just wanted to finish it just like that. So yeah, but I did read it like the beginning of February, but I didn't finish it until like the beginning of April. But like I said, I was depressed. My mental health was not it, and your girl just needed a break from everything, and that means a break of things that she loved to do as well. So yeah, so the next book that I read, which is on my Kindle, is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. So I read this book back in January 28th of this year, and I finished it on May 1st, not May 5th. May 1st of this year. It took me about 4 months to finish that book. I rated the book 4 stars, and I feel like it almost got a 3-star rating. Not to lie to you guys, it almost really got a 3-star rating. I think it kind of did make me cry some tears, and that's why I rated some like a higher rating than I wanted to, and I rated it 4 because it made me cry. I feel like if a book made me cry, that means it's good, and it did, and I loved it. But I have heard mixed feelings of that book a lot. There's like never not a book like haul of someone doing this book, if they like doing like it's in their haul, or someone doing a wrap up, or even a TBR video, and be like, oh, so I got this book, and but I hear like mixed feelings, or this is the book that I'm reading this month, and but I hear mixed feelings about it. Some people say they like it, some people say they don't. Oh, I read this book and I don't like it, you know? So there's always mixed feelings on this book, but I just feel like if you have the symphony feelings of it, the sadness and stuff, you can really get into the book. And as someone who can kind of relate to it about someone in her past, that's why it got to me. I'm also a Cancer, so I'm also a big crybaby. But like, yeah. But yeah, I gave that book a 4-star rating just because it made me cry, and that really touched my heart. So yeah. And then the last book that I read was 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tillie Cole. So I heard that she's a very controversial author on Book Talk, but that's just me. That's what I've heard. Some people say you shouldn't read her books because her books are very controversial and this and that. Colleen Hoover, I can understand because I have read some of her books and I question it. I really do question the wording in her books, so that's why I can agree with that with Colleen Hoover. But this is my first book I read by Tillie Cole, and I do want to read the second book. I probably will read the second book in my June TBR on my Kindle, and that'd be probably like the only book I read on my Kindle, but I don't know yet because I do want to read a book from what's her name? Abby Jimenez. I have to like look at my book cart, but I don't know. But I read 1,000 More Kisses. This book actually kind of made me cry a little bit in some chapters. So I read this book. I actually started it on the 28th, but didn't read it like that, and then finished it on the last day of May, so the 31st. So yeah, that was my goal. But like I said, it really got, I had like 3 or 4 books that I wanted to, no, 3 books I wanted to read on my Kindle, and a bunch of books that I wanted to read on my physical TBR. So I was just getting like, putting like in order what I touched first, what I started reading first, and then gone down the list and stuff. So that's why. And I rated this book a 4-star rating because it did make me cry a little. I actually love the book, and I feel like if you are looking for a good read for the summer, this book will actually be a good read for the summer, I feel like, in my opinion. But those are all the books that I read to get out of a reading slump. And if you have read any of these books, besties, please let me know down below in the comments. If you have any book recommendations, also let me know down in the comments as well, besties. Don't forget that it is your life, and that you need to always go after your goals no matter what. I love you guys, and if you have read any of these books, let me know, but I think I already said that. And if you have book recommendations, please let me know. If you have any video recommendations, actually, because I do need a little bit of more video ideas for the rest of July, one for June, and for August, because I like to plan my content ahead of time. Please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video. And bye, besties.